one man saying that is fine. If that's your opinion and you're not in it, that's fine. But there is an entire market of millions and millions of people that agree that it is a store of value. So, you can think one thing, but there's also a market, and markets tend to become efficient over time.
We do know that you will always get paid in Hex on a daily basis. And that is truly the miracle that we call Hex, because it is trustless interest, trustless yield. Nothing will stop that contract from running.
What is going on, guys? Welcome in to the Crypto podcast. How you doing? I am Boi Crypto. I have here with me, as always, Crypto Ewok to my left, right, however you happen to be watching. And we have got a heck of a show for you tonight. If you are watching the stream on YouTube's, we're going to be talking about, can PulseChain 100x from here? Is the bottom in? That's a question that, hey, we've all been asking ourselves now for at least a couple of months. But if you're making your way in here right now, we want you to go ahead and pulverize that like button. We really appreciate all you guys joining us this evening. We had a great stream last week with the man, the myth, the legend, Axis Alive. So welcome to anybody new that may have subscribed to the channel based off of that. We'll try to be as good as we were last week. We don't have Axis here. It's just me and Ewok. So hopefully that's good with everybody here. But welcome on in, Ewok. How are you feeling this evening?
Well, they're going to have to deal with it. It's just us, whether they like it or not, right? I'm doing good. You know, we talked about this a little bit ago. The green candles sure lighten the mood a little bit. You know, whether we've hit the bottom or not, that's yet to be seen, but definitely helps with the mentality. So it's pretty good.
Definitely does indeed. I'm sure everybody's feeling that way here this evening. We got a lot to get to tonight. We had the FOMC announcement today, or lack of an announcement, that we are not getting another rate hike, as the market was pretty much pricing in. Donald Trump Jr., some saucy stuff this morning. It was very interesting for me because I was at my computer on my desktop on Twitter. I'm not calling it X. I'm just going to say right now, I like Elon Musk and all that. I'm never going to call it X, but I was on Twitter, saw it happening live, and it was just funny to see all the different hexagons roll in throughout the day to say oh, look at this, look at what happened. They're still doing it. I think there's people probably in Australia or whatever that are waking up in the last couple hours that are just finding out. So we have that happened today. If you somehow missed that, we'll get to that. Is the PulseChain bottom in? We're going to talk about the memes and things like that are making Pulse go right now. We have a lot of stuff to get to. So always, if you're feeling frisky, I want to get in the chat, throw some topics at us, have any questions, anything like that. We'd love to hear from you guys. So first and foremost, BTC and ETH, where are they at today? We got BTC actually rallying back. See, it's funny because even though the market was pricing in basically this lack of any kind of a rate hike today, the market took a very, 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 I will say, modest dump right after. It really was nothing to write home about. Our ecosystem with PulseChain took a little bit more of one because, hey, it's been out for 4 months and we just had, 40% rally over the last few days. Right. So kind of natural. But BTC coming right back up over that 27K mark. We got ETH at 1625 right now. Looking at our ecosystem, it looks like Pulse has fallen back a little bit to about 65% below SAC rate. I might as well quit saying that way at this point. It's probably best that we all just forget about SAC rates and, get to where we actually are and just look at reality. So
right.
It's just that it's harder to say the price it's actually at right now, but 4 zeros and 4.5 for Pulse. PulseX, we still have at 4 zeros, 1.2. I mean, it's nice for it to at least be up over 90% down. Hex on Pulse is at 8.5 of a penny. It did get up over 9, I saw earlier today. And then Hex on ETH is still hanging out in that range that it loves and doesn't seem to want to budge too much from, at 3.5 of a penny there as well. So, Ewok, what do you make of the action in the market today? And we'll just kind of parlay that right into this FOMC thing. Again, no news is good news, basically. Everybody thought there would not be any real move. They did not make one. And as usual with these things, it's kind of like the devil is in the details. Jerome Powell kind of alluded to, and again, we always say this, the dad speech, the hawkish tone and stuff like that. He seemed to allude to that nothing much was going to happen in 2024 either, that we aren't even close to seeing rate cuts, which is something that people are wanting also. He tried to allude to that we may be just here where we are right now for quite some time, like a year and a half. Who knows? But what do you make of all the news today and how the markets have reacted?
Well, a lot of times we've seen this time and time again. Everything's pretty baked in. You're getting your standard pumps, standard pullbacks. It's a very boring time of year, time of the cycle, I should say. But yeah, I mean, it's okay. We kind of expected at least one more rate hike, I think, by the end of the year. And he stated today that we probably would get one at some point. But he keeps saying, well, we just want to see the data. We just want to see the data. So, we were talking, before the stream started, that I think one of the most bullish things that could happen is because, there is a rate decrease that's prognosticated to be in May or June, maybe June or July. But if it happens earlier, like say April or May, if they do lower it by 20, even if it's 25 basis points, whatever, how bullish that could be for everything. And I think it would really, timing with the halvening of Bitcoin could really set us off on a nice path for the rest of the year. So again, I don't see much reaction. Yeah, it did pull back a little bit, but everything, only I think it was more because it had just run up so much that it is a natural pullback, and I really don't think that the meeting had anything to do with it.
Yeah, I agree with you as far as our ecosystem. We've just run up so much that you have to expect something like this. Especially because hey, it still is 2023. It's nice that we're moving up, but we're not totally out of the woods. I want to ask you this, Ewok, because everybody always talks about like the Fed pivoting and that the actual definition for that would be a rate cut. Psychologically, do you think people may look at this kind of admittance of I don't think they're going to be hiking rates anymore at this point. Do you think this could be looked at as kind of a pivot by a lot of people by some definition? I mean, I understand that we're not going in the downward trajectory, but maybe a half pivot, a 180, I guess it'd be like a 90, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
That we're at least not going up anymore. Do you think that? Because I think we're going to see more bullish action over the next couple of months. I know I'm not alone in that sentiment. And of course, as we get into the first quarter of 2024, but just the fact that they, we're out of the environment of them continuing to raise. Do you think that, psychologically people could start coming back to the markets maybe just based on that here and there?
Yeah, sure. I think so. They always say no news is good news, right? So yeah, I mean, people are settling in to what these rates have kind of done to the economy. They're getting used to it, which is kind of pitiful that we're getting used to these prices and gas prices are now becoming a thing of normalcy. And I think, not doing anything is positive right now. I mean, it can't hurt. At least it's not getting worse. So I think that's just kind of the mentality that people have, is that, hey, well, nothing happened, so here we go, till the next meeting, we'll see what happens and let it go from there. But yeah, I think it's semi bullish. It's not bearish by any means.
Yeah, I'm all for it. We have 2 more FOMC meetings this year, and look, we talked about this off the air too before we came on. These are starting to become total nothing burgers at this point. I mean, they kind of have been for the last few months anyway, as far as their real impact on the market. But we've got a couple left now. So we've got November the 1st will be the next FOMC announcement this year. Then we've got December the 13th. Those are the last 2 for 2023. The interesting thing that you talked about, Ewok, going into 2024 and the probabilities of when the real pivot, the actual cutting of rates could happen. So we've got January 31st, there will be a meeting next year, March 20th, which maybe we're looking by then. But then maybe the magic number here, May 1st, which is going to be just after the Bitcoin halving. We drew this up already in the green room, but that idea, the fact that we're going to have ETF talk all of next year, whether, I mean, we obviously don't really support or want ETFs, but it's happening. So what are you going to do? A lot of things kind of coalescing as we get towards the end of that first quarter there that could really make for some bullish stuff. What do you think about that whole Bermuda Triangle, I guess, of, new year, the pivot, the halving, the ETF talk, because we're probably going to have some big developments by that point on that front, I think, with ETFs. I mean, what do you think that environment could look like? We're only talking like 6 months away or so. 6 or 7
not
months.
far.
Yeah.
Not far away. And I think it could be very bullish. Now, if I remember correctly, right after the halving, there is a drawdown. And then, quickly, like I said, if that May 1st date is a reversal, it could really set things off. Lots of things happening with the ETFs coming into play. Hopefully they're approved by then. May have an answer for the Richard Hart ecosystem, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Who knows what could happen by then. There could even be another black swan event that we don't even know about. Binance could be taken down or something crazy. So yeah, things like that could really rocket it, set it off, and really start that period of the rest of the year off on a good foot. I think we've kind of looked into that, that area of time until things start to get turned around anyway. And what better way to set it off with all that stuff. Now, I have heard recently that the Bitcoin halving may not have as much impact as it did before, because going from what are we at now? 3 point something down to 1.75 isn't that much of a reduction in rewards. It's not like it was when it went from 12 to 6 or 6 to 3 or whatever. This one's a lot less. So the halving isn't as impactful, I guess we should say. So it could be a different outcome. Who knows? Now we know that we know that the value will probably go up just because they're harder to get. But there may not be as much of a pullback right after that. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Excited to see all these things kind of push it in the right direction for us. Finally, been a long bear market, been rough on people. So,
boy, it really has. And I never thought of it this way until Axis said it to us last week. But yeah, you're right. It's been it's been statistically the longest bear market that we have had. But the idea that this ecosystem, and if you're watching this stream, we assume you're in it and have maybe been along for this ride over the last couple of years. We've had 3 bear markets. I really liked Axis's way of looking at that. Whether it be, I'm forgetting how he actually marked them, but basically just the traditional bear market, the one after I guess like the announcement of V3, maybe. I mean, it pumped up big time, but then we had the actual split and prices came down from there. So I guess that would be it. And then, of course, the worst one, the SEC news after that, to really flush some people out. So
yeah, he called it a triple bear market. The unexpected non-launch was the second one. So yeah.
Oh yeah, like last May,
right?
22. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, but clearly the SEC one. I mean, we knew the first one. I mean, we were along with everybody else. If you've been around crypto for a bit, you probably figured that Hex was going to go down pretty damn far, 90% plus, just, as most tokens are going to. But then the SEC one, of course, with them protecting us very, very hard. And we have felt so protected by them over the last couple of months. So that kind of was the last one. So we're going to get into more of that. But let's talk about DJ Trump Jr. Okay. What do you make of this? I sent it to you. You hadn't seen it yet. And you, like me and everybody else, was like, whoa, is this real? I made sure that I screenshotted, like many people, right away, because I was like, if I just send this tweet, it's going to get deleted in a few minutes, whatever. the fact that I think there were 5 tweets that were very clearly not really him. At least I hope so, Don Jr.
Well, you never know.
Yeah. The one about Biden was super saucy. But well, actually, I don't even want to say certain people's names or what he said or anything, just in case they're watching tonight. But the fact that there were 5 total tweets, and one of them was that. One of them was I should actually look at it again here. If I even have it. I think I got rid of it. Here we go. Yeah, Richard Hart is innocent. When I become president, I'm going to burn the SEC at Richard Hart win. So, yeah, pretty good stuff. That was at 8:28 Eastern this morning on the 20th of September. So, I want to ask you this, Ewok. So, first off, here's the position that I take. I take the position that, like, this is funny, obviously, and I think good. You know, it's one of those things like, virality is how you win today. Just look at Donald Trump himself actually getting elected. Look at everything Ben Armstrong's doing right now. You know, are people going to follow Ben Armstrong? Or are they going to follow Discover Crypto? Like the worst name you could ever possibly think of. But that's how you get attention, and that's how you win when you're marketing something. And this is a small sector. As much as we look at Hex and PulseChain every single day, it's a small part of crypto right now anyway. So I think it's funny. It's good. It's a viral moment. People are writing articles about it. I saw Crypto Coffee talking earlier about all the articles that were highlighting. If, you know, of course, they're going to gush over the Donald Trump Jr. tweets and stuff like that. But I want to ask you this, because I saw Corey Costa earlier today said that he controversial opinion or whatever, that he thought that it made the community look bad. And, you know, whoever, I mean, it's not like any of us know who did it, you know, or if they even really were. How do you even know there was a hexagon? You know what I mean? But he was critical of it, thought it was bad. I don't know. I do disagree on that. But what do you make of this?
Well, so do you know, I mean, what are your thoughts? Do you think somebody that wasn't a hexagon would have even brought up Richard Hart or mentioned, you know, it's hard to say, or maybe somebody did it to point a finger in that direction. Who knows? Whatever. It was a little controversial. How many subscribers does he have? 1.5 million or something like that.
Millions. Yeah.
It got many.
Got one more for me today.
Well, got that many eyes on it. So, you know, and who knows if a lot of those people didn't even know who Richard Hart was. So I thought it can't hurt anything. Does it make us look bad? I don't know. There was a lot of other things that were said that, you know, the Biden thing and the vocabulary could have probably been chosen a little bit better. But again, you know, it depends on who
you don't know that was somebody who like invests in Hex. You know, I just don't.
I don't know. I don't know that it was a good look. But again, I don't think there's any advertisement that's bad advertisement. So I think it could have helped get some eyes on, you know, what's this Richard Hart thing? What's going on with the SEC? Maybe they didn't know. Then they dig into it and they see what's happening and go down the rabbit hole with the rest of us. I don't think it's a bad thing. I see where Corey's coming from, but I don't think it's a non-beneficial type thing. I don't think the fingers are starting. I don't think they're going to get pointed at us or anything like that. So I don't make anything bad of it. So
yeah, I feel the same way. And actually, Donald Trump Jr. 10.5 million followers. So yeah, pretty nice actually. So
well, yeah, Alan, if it was Eric Wall that did it, then I hope he gets caught.
Yeah, I don't think it was Eric Wall. But yeah, I just don't buy this thing that that meant it absolutely had. And you know, this whole thing about like, oh, it makes us look bad. There's a certain movie rolling around that people think makes people that. Look, everybody thinks we're all idiots anyway. Everybody thinks that this is a cult. Everybody's already. I don't give a shit what any of those people think. I mean, it's a huge account. And look, it was Donald Trump Jr. It wasn't like the actual sitting president, or you know, I mean, it's not like he's the biggest guy there is on Twitter. So, interesting story nonetheless. Sure. There's really never a dull moment in crypto.
Well, like I said, 1.5 million, 2 million eyes on it can't hurt. Yeah.
Well, yeah, he got a follower out of me today. So, Chat's getting active on this topic, so I appreciate that. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. So let's talk about this ecosystem for real right now. So PulseChain ecosystem has a nice weekly close finally here this past week. Moves up above, quad zeros and a 4. We're up above that even now. I DCA'd the other day at like 4.1. We've gone up, above that. Now we have a little wee bit of a pullback so far. What do you think the chances are? And look, this isn't advice to anybody. Obviously, we're just two schmucks on the internet here. But are you comfortable? I'll just ask it this way for yourself, Ewok. If you are DCAing, which you are, I am, whatever, into this ecosystem, are you comfortable with the thought in your head? What percentage wise would you think to yourself? Yeah, I'm confident the bottom is in at this point. Yeah, that's the question, I guess.
Okay, I'm confident enough that we're close.
Mm-hmm.
That I actually did even DCA in some today. Right earlier before the stream. The gas prices were a little higher than I wanted to pay. When I moved things over the bridge, but again, I wanted to get it done and take care of it. I think we're close enough. And if not, if it goes down a little bit more, then I've got a little bit more powder left to keep going. So, I'm not too concerned. Anytime I see 4 zeros on anything that I'm strong on, I wanted to catch the 5 zeros on the Pulse X, but I didn't. I wasn't ready for it essentially, so I missed out on that opportunity. But I think seeing 4 zeros and some low numbers. Don't forget the hex low was 0.0005655. And how many millionaires that ended up making out of people that happened to get in on day 33, so or day 34 or 26, or what I mean.
Right.
So I think we're close enough to that area that I think we're in good shape. So I'm not too concerned. But like I said, if it does go down more, then we'll be ready to dollar cost in again and get more of a position.
Well, and that's kind of the, people sometimes parody like the value of dollar cost averaging. I mean, part of the value of it is just what you just said, that psychological benefit of like, well, I bought here, I bought here, I bought here. I didn't ape at any one point because that's going to make your blood pressure go up, whenever,
right.
Frankly, when it moves any direction sometimes. So it's just kind of calm you down also. And it can be very hard, the whole catching a falling knife thing. I mean, you just mentioned Pulse X with 5 zeros. Hey, I think I probably had 1 or 2 small buys at that price, but boy, I mean, again, we're not totally out of the woods yet, but that's hard to make those buys, especially with Pulse X and just all of the narrative and FUD and people shitting on it over the last few weeks and stuff like that. We've really only we've talked about this, but that ratio Pulse to Pulse X has only gone to 1 to 4. It's not like it's gone to some, ratio trading days of 1 to 7 or something. That would be disastrous looking. That would be like, maybe I should rotate some of my Pulse into Pulse X or something. But my point is, it is hard to make those buys when it doesn't seem like there's a floor. And sometimes you have to say, well, this is when I need to do it. And I agree with that. But if the chart does not look like if it looks like it's in a perpetual downtrend, it can be nerve-wracking to do so. That's why I understand nobody should feel any shame if like now they're, I don't want to say aping in, but if they're more comfortable in their DCAs now. We've got a little bit of breathing room, especially if we start to find support here at this 4 number for Pulse. I think, we close a couple of weeks green or whatever. I understand people being more comfortable, and you haven't missed the opportunity yet. Again, it's still 2023. We're barely up off the lows. So
yeah, and now that Johnny's here, we can go back and mention that the liquidity pairs are all tied together. So when they start to go up, it's going to drag everything with it,
right.
And it's just part of what we're waiting for. And like I said, I think we're close. I think, you could have another pullback. We're going to see some pumps, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, maybe 2 steps back to even, whatever it is. But we've got time, so we take advantage of it. And, now's the time to tell your friends about this wonderful network that we call PulseChain and start onboarding people. You want to get them in now at these rates rather than at the top when, everybody's miserable then again for 3 years because they didn't make any money.
Yeah, if there's anything that you can pass on to any of your friends that you're maybe onboarding into crypto or just generally talk to about crypto, make sure it's that they understand the experience you just had for the last couple of years, because it is not always a fun one. That leads me into the tweet from Richard the other day. I forget who I was watching today. There were so many good streams and stuff today. Denise in the chat pointed that out earlier. And I was watching somebody, and I agreed 100%. I think it might have been Matty Allen last night, which was a great stream with Axis and all those guys. But
I didn't catch it last night.
Oh, it was very, very good. But I think it was Matty that highlighted that. So let me just read Richard's tweet from over the weekend. He said, when Bitcoin is down 62% and Ethereum is down 68%, your coin might be down too. I wonder what he's talking about. Remember when I called the top publicly years ago? Remember when ETH dropped about 95% from around $1,500 to $80 in 2018? Now it's $1,600. How much did you load up on that 95% dip? You'd be sitting at 20x your stack right now, even after the 68% dip from $5,000 to here. Ask yourself, who were the people selling back then and who were the people buying? Every trade has a buyer and a seller. And remember, I bought Bitcoin back when it was $30 and it went right down to $2 shortly thereafter. Now it's 26.6K at that time. Cryptocurrencies have done 90% dips over and over. It's not new. Maddie speculated that this was kind of a point to like the bottom is in, or like we're about to move up from here. And sorry if it wasn't Maddie, it was somebody on that stream. But I want to give your because you would imagine he's talking about some of the products that he helped create, and he is right about that. I mean, like all of these tokens are down in crypto right now, just at slightly varying degrees. But what do you make of that tweet, Ewok? And do you think it was kind of a signifier that possibly we're about to go up? Because here we are 3 days later, and we are. So
yep. That's exactly what I read into it when I read it. It reminded me of the top call because he never really called the top.
Mm-hmm.
He mentioned, and I don't remember the post exactly, but he said something about when did Bitcoin fall out of its parabola? Oh, now, or something like that.
Yeah.
And I forget how he worded it, but whatever. He never actually said today's the top.
Yeah.
But he worded, he doesn't want to influence markets over, by saying today's the top. But he wants people to understand what he's saying. And I think that was his way of exactly, Johnny just said it. That was a warning, get off your butts kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah, I went to click on his thing and you posted.
Give it to me, Arthur.
Yeah,
well, hey, out of context, it sounds bad. But, anyway.
But yeah, I think that was his warning. I totally agree. That's how I read it. And, it's funny because I was one of those guys that saw that $80 price and loaded up. And then turn around and used it for the adoption amplifier for Hex. Bingo. So, I don't have any of it left, but I got a great deal. And for the price of it and what we got at that time, it turned out pretty darn good. So, yeah, I remember those $80 Ethereum days. And, again, I think it was his warning to say, hey, guys, wake up. This isn't going to be here much longer. So.
And that is what you just illustrated is one thing I love about the way RH communicates, because, this whole, like a lot of people are acting like, he's not speaking as much now, or maybe he's saying these things in a veiled manner because of the SEC thing or whatever. I think like you just said it yourself about calling the top, which was all coming up on 2 years ago. Well, depending upon which top we mean, basically.
No, it was the first one. He called it in April. Excuse me.
So
that was
2.5 years ago.
Yeah, April of what, 2021? 21, yeah.
So, but essentially, he's done that kind of tongue-in-cheek way of saying things for a while. And that, I do like that. And I like that from a lot of people if they choose to convey things like that. Like, don't feed, it's like, do you want to watch a movie that airmails every little thing? Like, hey, do you get it? He's been alive. He's been dead the whole time. Or, you don't want to be led along like that necessarily. So I do like that he does that. What do you make of this whole thing too? Because all we heard Okay, last month, the first couple of weeks of September here is September's going to be a red month. Rosh Hashanah or Christmas or one of these holidays, I don't know what it is ending in this month. And when that ends, this is going to happen. There's a full moon. And my tarot cards say, there's all this shit that it was like September is going to be a red month. And I love that we haven't really seen that yet. Now it is the 20th, so I reserve the right to look like an asshole, and you can chop this up and edit it however you want. But things are looking good right now. And I mean, I'm again focusing on our ecosystem, but as usual, everybody's saying one thing. It's looked the other way so far. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it's not over yet. And I think it's the comment is more historically September is rough.
Right.
Most of the time, unless we're in a full-blown bull market, which I remember September of 2017 was pretty amazing. September of 2020 was pretty darn good too. So, but when you're in a bear market, the month of September has been historically pretty rough. We'll see how the candles turn out. I mean, we don't want to get the cart in front of the horse here, but there's enough days in the month where it could turn around and go red, but I don't see it being disastrous. So I think we're in okay shape as far as that goes. And I think it was was it a Jewish holiday that ended or something like that?
I think is it the
I don't.
I'm just gonna mess it up and disrespect people by accident. So
well,
I'm not gonna say
we don't want to upset anybody. So
yeah.
But anyway, I think things are looking better. They're going to turn around. When they turn around. But now's I think we need to focus on not so much, well, when's it going to get better, but now's the time to be getting in. And now's the time to be DCAing and taking advantage of it more than when's it going to get better.
Let me ask you this. I saw somebody tweet this the other day and it intrigued me. So Pulse, the actual Pulse token, was right at about sack rate. So 3 zeros and a 1 before Gary Gensler came along to save us all and rescue us from, how we've been wronged by investing in crypto. What do you think it would say? We've seen this nice rally off the lows. If and when, not if, but when PulseChain does get back to sack rate, let's even say it does it by the end of the year. That's a little over 2x from here. What do you think that really says about this community, this ecosystem? And, because to me, that would be like, let's say it happens even before this stupid conference on November the 28th, even though I don't think we're going to glean very much info from that on November the 28th. What do you think that says about the ecosystem and the people in it and where this market is just headed? Because to me, that would be super bullish to get back there just a couple of months down the road with how we capitulated so hard.
Well, it speaks volumes. We were talking about it earlier about the amount of projects and creations that have already happened on PulseChain. Like there's 170 of them already out there. So it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, the community is amazing. And once people get over here and see, yes, there's bickering and fighting and arguing about which hex is better and the stupid shit like that. But all in all, the people that are here are pretty damn special. And the community that we've created, it's amazing. So it wouldn't surprise me that we rally together and it just kind of go on with, without a hitch and things go up without anything happening with the SEC. We don't even know that Richard's been served yet. We've talked about this too. And I think we're going to talk about it later, but who knows? Like it's funny. People say they miss Richard Hart, but the things that we're doing without him, imagine when he does come back and stream. And we all know he will once the dust settles and all of that good stuff. He'll be back when he's able. Just like I said, I find it amazing the things that are being done. And then once he comes back, it will probably just amplify it even more. So,
oh my God,
I find it exciting. I think it's pretty amazing the community is second to none. We're the only people in the bear market that have been consistent. Not us, but the Hexicans in general have been so consistent through the bear market, like never before. Usually, it's a ghost town, and it's not like that over here. So, pretty special.
Let's transition to what you just said about the has RH actually been served idea, because that's something that I think we all kind of just assumed that he probably would have been, because you do see this complaint from the corrupt SEC and read over it and see how many mistakes are in it and stuff like that. And you kind of just assume because they call out where they believe he's located and things like that. So you believe he's probably been served. I think it was with, I mentioned these guys, I feel like every week, but Corey Geary and Money Talk with Dane a couple of weeks ago were saying, like, has he actually been served? Because you look at some of the way his tweets read and things like that. I forget some of the other reasons they were looking into, but we don't know that he actually has been. And again, I think based on his tweets, he likely hasn't. And the actual on the courtlistener.com listing of the case, which I look at every now and then to see if there's any updates, that's the actual, like, legit, if there's going to be updates to it, if anybody would enter anything, if counsel for either side would say something, it'll be updated there. That's at courtlistener.com. I'll see if I can find the link to it and drop it in the chat. But it says on there that plaintiff's counsel are to ensure that the defendant is aware of this conference. In other words, serving him. So, remember, it's not as if like the judges or the magistrate or anybody like that is going to go serve Richard Hart or anything. So it's up to them to do that. So has that been done? We don't know. I mean, what do you think, Ewok? Because just the way that he has been speaking, kind of the hypothetical tweets about like all these different case laws, like list of 50 in one tweet that he just did a couple of weeks ago. What do you think the chances are that he's been served? And I don't want to be talking out of my ass, but what do you think will happen if he doesn't get served? I mean, if he doesn't get service by November the 28th or whenever here.
Well, they don't. They only have so long to serve him.
Yeah.
And it has to get thrown out and resubmitted. I'm pretty certain. Johnny can probably speak to that. He knows a little bit more about those, but that's why they had to serve CZ over Twitter, and I think he took it, or he acknowledged it, or whatever it was. But so I think I saw somebody had posted that the address that they thought that he was at, and they showed a picture of the building, and it was this enormous, just big building that looked like a office or part of a castle or something like that.
I see this. Okay.
Yeah, I forget who even posted it, and maybe it was a joke, but I don't think it was. I think they were pretty serious when they said it. I don't think they know where he lives. I don't think he's where they think he is. So, and if I were him and they said that they thought they knew where I was, I would probably relocate pretty quickly, to avoid being served. Because again, if you're not served within however many days, I don't know if it's 60 days, 90 days, whatever it is, I believe the court or the case has to be thrown out and then resubmitted and tried again. I think everything kind of starts over. And at that point, have they done any more research into what they're trying to get him for the first time? Did they chain analysis, and will that misappropriation of funds go away? Because, again, it's pretty obvious. It's clear that all the funds are still there. So, that's going to be thrown out the second they provide the analysis for it. I don't know. I don't know if he's gotten it or not. I kind of don't think he has. I think had he been served, we may not hear from him at all. But
possibly,
he's just kind of operating semi-routinely. Yes, there's no live streams, but again, he doesn't want. I don't know.
Well, the last action, if you guys follow the link that I put in there, was way back on August the 8th still, which was just the scheduling order for that initial conference on November the 28th. So prior to that was just kind of, the representation for the SEC entering himself into the case and a bunch of paperwork and stuff. But that's all we've seen. That was back on August the 8th, the last time we saw anything. So I would imagine, we don't know if he were to be served, how quickly there would be a response from counsel on his side or anything. But I imagine we'd see something like that in here leading up to that conference. So we don't see it yet. So take that however you want to take it, essentially. But what does X Blind have to say here?
He said, please help. I DCA'd more into Hex and Pulse today, but the ETH fees were nearly $100. Well, if you DCA'd into Pulse, you shouldn't have paid any ETH fees unless that was part of the bridge or unless you bought wrapped Pulse on Ethereum. Right. You might have to be a little more specific. The best way to do it, and there are other ways, obviously, with some of the new trading mechanisms that you have. You can actually go from Bitcoin right into Pulse if you use the gopulse.com. Their kind of exchange that they have, it's almost like Changely, but you can do Bitcoin right into your Pulse wallet. So I'm not sure what you did there, X Blind. The fees were high today. I know I had a Hedron stake that ended, and I added some Icosa yield to it, but I don't think they were quite that high as far as just a trade.
I wouldn't think so either. He just posted again that he said, I thought you had to buy ETH then bridge. Well, yeah, you do need to have ETH to bridge token. Well, what your stable coins or whatever it may be, maybe it's ETH itself over to PulseChain. You're right. But fees haven't been like that for quite some time. So unless you made 7 transactions or something, I wouldn't think it would have been that bad. And I think Denise just said in there that Gwei is like 10 right now, which is super low. I mean, that's bottom of the bear market stuff. So
I bridged some earlier today, and it was I think $16. But that's just to get it over there. Once it's over, then all of your fees are in Pulse. So I'm not sure how you spent 100 in fees unless they were extremely high, and maybe you just had really, really bad timing. I hate to, say that because I don't know what exactly happened. But
even you saying 16 to bridge, I mean, you must have done that at one of the top.
It was 40. It was like 40 almost. So it was high, but I just wanted to get it done.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. And it's, that's one thing to keep in mind too. Like as some people move up the ladder, the ETH fees aren't as bad for them. Although in the bull market, it's a little bit of a different story. But X Blind, I'm not sure exactly what you did, but yes, you do want to make sure you bridge stuff over to PulseChain to buy it. I have been in situations where I just had some spare ETH and I wanted to grab a Pulse price like right there when Gwei was really low, and I have bought wrapped Pulse on ETH before, and then just I'll bridge it over later when I want to.
And that way it will unbridge it, or actually, it will unwrap it for you once you get it over there, which is nice. But you don't have to buy ETH. Like you don't have to bridge Ethereum. You can bridge USDC. You can bridge DAI. You can bridge whatever, Tether, anything really, and then trade from there. You could actually bridge Hex and use your eHex pair over there as well. So, there's a lot of different things that you can buy. You don't have to just bridge ETH, but you have to bridge from the Ethereum chain, and it does require Ethereum fees. So, hope that helps. Hope it clears something up a little bit, but
sometimes it takes multiple times to do it. I mean, we were all messing with the bridge way back when it was clogged in May, and experimenting with that. So sometimes it just takes some reps, If you guys are here though and enjoying the stream, pulverize that like button for us. We got a few other topics to get to tonight that are really important, I believe. And one of them is, what do you think about this, Ewok? I mean, are these meme tokens? Everybody is talking, of course, about I'm not calling this entity or the PDI thing a meme. I actually think that's probably not the best way to define PDI itself anyway. Maybe some of the other stuff. I mean, teddy bear clearly is a meme, I would say. But we're seeing a lot of the memes really bringing a lot of these like .eth people over to PulseChain, because there's a lot of people that, remember, I mean, like, even though there are people that invest in Pulse that hate some of the stuff that's going on the network, well, ETH has all kinds, infinite amount of garbage going on the network at this point, obviously. But we're seeing some of these like .eth people come over to PulseChain because it's a better chain right now. The fees are much less. But we've got all these memes, as I mentioned, teddy bear. Not that we're touching it or anything like that, because I'm pretty confident neither of us are. Even though we don't like memes, is it a good thing, though, that they are bringing people to Pulse in what has been a boring part of this market? I mean, I think we're maybe exiting that stage just because we're seeing green candles from PulseChain. But what do you make of it? Because, I know this has been an age-old thing. We have a layer one now. It's not just Hex. I understand, it is just Hex and it was on Ethereum and everything. I understand, cautioning people against other stuff. I mean, I understand cautioning people against other stuff now, but we've got to have stuff happening on the network. And the fact that the Atropa stuff has blown up so much, I think is great, just for the volume on the network. Remember how much Pulse X is being burned, how much Pulse is being burned, and the buy and burn on Pulse X, I should say. But what do you make of it? I mean, I'm all for it, even though, as we've talked about, we're not really getting involved in that stuff.
Yeah, I still consider PDI a meme coin, but yeah, how could it not be good, right? We want traffic on the chain. We want it to gain adoption. I mentioned it in the stream before, or last week or the week, whenever it was. I think it was when Axis was with us. But if you own PulseChain, you own the casino, and I think that's the part of the equation that it doesn't mean you have to buy this stuff. If you can be excited for the network to grow. I think we became the fifth largest one. We're right behind. There's a couple that we could kind of leapfrog with just a little bit more volume. It's exciting. It brings action back in a very down time. I just, want people to be cautious, not FOMO into these, because, while there may be some winners, those people have already bought and now they're pumping it. There's going to be a lot of losers too. Remember, crypto is a zero-sum game. For every winner, there's a loser. So, I think it's great that it's getting attention. I think it's great that it's bringing users. Nothing wrong with that at all. Just be careful. use your common sense. And if you hear something or see something pumping, that's probably not the time to get in. You never know. It could go a lot higher. That theory doesn't always work. But you definitely don't want to buy after you see 3 or 4 green candles, thinking it's got a long way to go. It's a very dangerous play. But to answer your question, I think it's super exciting. Meme coins have always brought the degens, always brought the action, and especially right now in the bear market when there's just not a whole lot going on. Yeah. What we saw, though, when our core tokens started to pump, you saw those meme coins going down. So I think people maybe sold some of those and got in to catch the pump. And that's one of the things where you just have to be careful, because if you're not watching and you're not timing things right, rather than just sitting in the coin that you like, you're going to miss out. You may catch some gains. You may flip some profits in. It would be nice to see all the profits fall back into those coins. But at what cost? Did you get a better position, or did you get a worse one because you were getting chopped up going back and forth and you didn't time it right? Just some of the things that you have to be careful of. Like I said, owning PulseChain or Pulse coin, Pulse token, you're making the fees, you're making the profits as things go on, as the network gets busy. So that's my take on them.
Yeah, because and I agree with what you said. I mean, like if you start to dip your toes in whether it is like the PDI thing or one of the other million things apparently associated with the Tropa, at what point have you gone against your actual plan? You know, there are people out there that, you know, obviously B Roots is the big person everybody is going to talk about that's involved with that stuff. But he's kind of already made it and he's been doing this stuff for a very long time, you know, and I imagine that he's a smart enough guy. He's playing with money that he can afford to lose. I've been in the PDI Telegram group, and let me tell you, they're not as smart as B Roots. So, to alluding to what you said a minute ago, Ewok, about people that kind of wreck themselves accidentally on that and the buying the green candles and everything. It is people with that mentality. You know, you look around. I think I heard Crypto Sloth say it one day. I think Rags might have said it one day. I'm not trying to pin anything on anybody that isn't true, but just watching some people's streams, I've seen a few people kind of with. I said it on our stream last week with Axis. Like I throw a flyer into PDI, like a lottery ticket, small amount of money. That's the only one that, you know, I can see some sense in if it gets there and I want to be involved in it. But there are people doing things that are not long-term smart decisions, kind of like what you're talking about, and that are looking for those quick gains, that do not have that experience and shouldn't be doing it, that would be better off just holding. So, you know, I understand this whole fight about like who's a maxi and who's not. I just don't think is really worth it. I understand people that don't even want to mention this stuff because of what I just talked about. There are people out there that are just not educated as much and they will wreck themselves, you know? So
yeah, you got to use caution when talking about these things. And, you know, again, we don't recommend that anybody buy anything that, you know, because of what we said, or, you know, and I'm sure any YouTuber will say the same thing. You know, we're not here because we're your financial advisor. Ultimately, you know, you still click the button, but we talk about what's happening and where the things are flowing. And, you know, it's just, it's a unfortunate, like I said, that it is a zero-sum game, and there's going to be winners, but there's going to be the losers too.
yeah, there definitely will be. So, but it is good that we are seeing this activity on the chain. That was really the main point.
Yep.
That post that you shared with me earlier today, Ewok, from Money Gang Crypto, about Reed's law, like everybody, we always hear about Metcalfe's law.
Yep. I'll pull it up.
Sweet. Okay. Yeah. We always hear about Metcalfe's law, which is just more and more people coming to the network as the bull market comes back, you know, which we believe. But there's also the idea of Reed's law. And that's just that the more activity that's happening on the chain can also expand things, just what's actually already there going on, which is kind of what he was talking about here. So I don't know if you probably can't zoom in too much, but if you want to just read it, or I'll read it, or whatever you want to do.
Yeah, no, it says Metcalfe's law says that every time you add a new user to the network, the number of connections increases proportionately to the square of the number of users. But this Reed's law states that networks may grow proportionately to the network size, but there are forming groups that scale faster in value than others because of influence or interconnectedness. And I find it more appropriate to the PulseChain, you know, network. We had Metcalfe's law when it applied to Hex, right? When it was the only product that was on Ethereum. It was the Hexagon ecosystem. It was just one thing, you know, and then you ended up with the Hedron stuff, and then you had the Maxi stuff, and then, you know, as that kind of grew, then Reed's law kind of took effect. And I find it interesting, you know, how they can say different groups of the people will grow at different, you know, proportions, throughout the way. So it's not Metcalfe's law and this, you know, in combination. I just found it pretty interesting. There's a whole thread about it, you know, when you're talking about the NFTs and the bridges and the different exchanges and the different things that, I found it interesting to read through, and I never thought about it, you know, because we always hear Metcalfe's law when this Reed's law is actually more appropriate to what we have here with all the different subsets of all the, you know, of the ecosystem. So just thought it was interesting. You should read over it. Money Gang Crypto is the one that posted it. Go, if you're not following him, go check him out, follow him, and read over this thread. It's pretty cool.
And you do bring up a good point, like sometimes we're just thinking about how we have PulseChain now, PulseX, the DEX token, both hexes, all these things on the network, and now these other new platforms like all the PH stuff, which we're going to get to in a moment about Famous. But you make a great point, Ewok, that even before PulseChain, you had all these derivatives with hex. You had all these, like obviously what Alex has done with Hedron and Icosa was probably the biggest, that happened prior to PulseChain launch. I mean, that was a year and a half ago at this point that launched. So yeah, we've had that.
That actually launched when we were in Vegas for the conference in March.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that. So yeah, we've had that going on for a long time. Now, hey, not all of it's going to be good. I mean, there's going to be some crap out there that's just something we forget about. I recall a certain airdrop from about 8 months ago that I forgot existed until you mentioned it to me once a few weeks ago, and now I just forgot about it again until now. I mean, there's just going to be stuff like that,
What's that? Yeah, Pulse Bitcoin,
Communis.
No,
all that Pulse Bitcoin stuff and Pulse Doge, whatever Communis was, I forgot that existed, but yeah.
Well, so the problem with Communis is, it's one of those things where you have to mint it before you end your stake. The problem is you're getting trillions, and I think they're not even anywhere close to, it's 0.0000. I think there's like 7 zeros or 8 zeros. So they're very valueless right now, and I think I stopped doing it. I don't know that there's any support in that community. I haven't heard anything. Nothing's been posted in Twitter, so I just kind of stopped minting it. We'll see. But
well, I had another thought there. Just
sorry.
Based on the metrics, this is kind of in line with what we're talking about, but PulseChain being a top 5 crypto network right now. So the numbers are all there, the volume, the daily transactions. The other day it was 811,000 daily transactions we were averaging. Puts Pulse ahead of Coinbase's new base thing. ZK Sync, Solana, Optimism, Osmosis, not sure what that is, Polygon, and Avalanche. So Pulse Network size is matching other top L1s, but is actual DeFi, as we know, and much lower in price. Just an easy opportunity right now. And that's what I think some people may not understand is how busy PulseChain is right now. I mean, it is up there with the most action, comparable to other L1s. You have ones from past bull markets like Phantom, who's suffered, I think, death number 14 at this point, just kind of falling by the wayside. Aptos just launched in this bear market. I don't see it really being mentioned up there. These are all like heavily VC-backed, big money, fake DeFi chains, basically. And we have PulseChain pretty high up there right now, and it's brand new. It's 4 months old,
Yeah, let's take a look here at the numbers, actually, because I've got it pulled up. Dex Screener does a good job of showing you the 24-hour volume, and that's really what it's based on. We're at 31.5 million on PulseChain. Base has 33.8, so it's not far from there. Optimism is 43 million. Polygon, 65 million. Arbitrum is 165. Then you got BSC at 174, and obviously Ethereum at $500 million. So, these two at least wouldn't be hard to catch. Base, Optimism, Polygon, we could probably do it. We just double the volume, and we would be there. But yeah, it's doing great for being as young as it is. Now I realize Base is young as well. But they've got a lot more reach with the Coinbase platform. So,
well, it also, I mean, pretty much hardly anything on it is actually anything real anyway. So, yeah, that's not really going to be any competition. I mean,
sure.
And if people, now it may be up there in terms of numbers and people using it, but if you want to actually, use it as an investment vehicle or something, I think you're going to be pretty upset by the results of that.
Right.
Do you want to pull up Cody's first comment here? Cody Pauly 68. He's put 3 things in. It's the one that starts with, I'll just start reading it. Please give me some inspiration as I swapped 150K of BTC to EHEX before Pulse launch. since last September. Down huge, but haven't sold, and have 350 million Pulse, still holding and never sold anything. So we're not going to tell you what to do. We both understand the feelings, obviously, and have been there, and it does suck. But right now, having faced similar situations in the past, I can tell you, I'll let you answer first, Ewok, but I mean, what would you be doing with that hex if it were you right now? And you're just holding it, and he's feeling down about the bag and stuff like that. I mean, what would your options be to you?
So at first, when I read that, I thought he put 150,000 of BTC into EHEX and then sacrificed it. That's what I kind of thought at first. But so he's got both. He's got the EHEX and the 350 million Pulse. Well, be careful talking about numbers. Just that's a lot. It could be a lot in a couple years. It's rough right now, man. It's a bear market. Everybody's down. Everyone's prices are down. If you're where you are and you didn't get I don't think you got the before Pulse launch, which means you got a copy of that on your PHEX too. That's probably. Yeah. I think you're going to be in pretty good shape. It's just a matter of being patient and walking away. And yes, it is emotional. And you even said it here. So it's been very emotional. This is your third cycle. So, you realize what happens and when it all comes back. These green candles take off, and that could have been a very, very, very good play. I know I sold all the Bitcoin I had at one point and put it into Hex, and that was early, back early. I could have bought, I don't know, 7 Bitcoin for the small amount of Bitcoin that I had put in. So, it's just a matter of time. You got to play the time game, and you'll be fine. Just hold it and don't capitulate. That's the worst thing you could do. If it gets to you too bad, you got to walk away from it and get some air and just let the candles come back. Sometimes doing nothing is the best thing that you can do.
Usually, actually, especially if you don't know what to do, doing nothing, as Rush says in Free Will, not choosing is a choice or whatever. But yes. Wait, let me. Okay, go ahead. I just wanted to say, because I wanted to give my opinion on that.
Go ahead.
I've been in that I just want to say I've been in that kind of situation before, and I personally, not telling you what to do because I know some people don't like to play this game, I would have the hex staked. I mean, that sounds like it's probably enough hex that a year-long stake, which in my opinion, kind of guesstimating out here, we won't be at the top of the bull market yet. If you wanted to do something conservative like staking it into September of 2024, it sounds like a substantial enough amount of hex that even though you're not doing the standard, long-term thing that a lot of hexicans like to do, I sure would like to earn interest on, earn some nice yield in the meantime. I would definitely be doing that. And I have done that, and that has mitigated all the feelings you're feeling. It has helped mitigate it for me when I see how much hex I'm stacking up while the price is shit. You know what I mean? So.
Oh, well, he even says, kept my copy. EHEX is staked. Both are staked. So you're doing the right thing. What are you worried about? You can't sell it anyway.
Yeah. Any other choice you
I'm
make
just
would
kidding.
probably be terrible.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. You can't, definitely don't emergency end stake it. You're staking it, so you're earning more. So technically you are DCAing every single day at 8:00 Eastern, whenever it rolls over. You're doing it right. You're doing the right thing. And, I know you say it's hard to put in dry powder right now. But now's when you can make those numbers really good, and your average cost in can come way down so that you don't have to wait quite as long until you're in profit.
Yeah. I wasn't sure when you had said, Cody, that you hadn't sold it. I just presumed it was liquid because I wouldn't have even thought of end staking. But yeah, I'm with you. I mean, that's what I would have done. So for sure. But hey, we're here to help you commiserate. I mean, we've all been in these situations before, somewhat similar to that anyway. So, couple other things we wanted to touch on tonight. So, yet another token launch. We have the FAME token coming out here. I think just this past weekend, Famous obviously is going to be the big leverage trading platform that's going to be similar to BitMEX, but obviously done purely in DeFi. What do you I know you're pretty bullish on this. I'm not saying maybe as investing in the tokens Ewok, but maybe you are, I don't know. But what do you feel about this platform? Because I think it's going to be a big one for sure. And a lot of these PH tokens, these guys, Buck has done a very good job, and they've been one of the few that are producing their product so far. Which has been very nice. So what do you make of it?
Yeah, no, I'm bullish on it too. I haven't invested anything. I didn't sacrifice. I did qualify for some of their airdrops, so I did get some of their tokens. There was a announcement that said, hey, you got to go here and put your thing in and claim your coins. There was a couple of those that I believe I got. I did, like I said, though, I didn't sacrifice anything. But yeah, I mean, so I think it's more like Aave than it is BitMEX. But BitMEX is your traditional leverage trading platform. I know it's what they call it, a perpetual DEX, I believe is what they actually call it. So a perpetual decentralized exchange. I think it's not a true long or short. I think it's a borrow kind of deal where you borrow against it. I'm not exactly sure the specifics of how it works, but I do know how those type of platforms are good in the sense, it lets people short if they don't like your product. You can always point them in that direction and hopefully get them sideways. So, and then there is the FAME token too, which is more of a staking, where again you become kind of the casino, right?
That's what I was going to say.
You're earning, you're earning the yield off of the platform's fees. So, and then I think there's you can get part of the I think it's PHLP, which is the liquidity provider token, which is a combination of, what is it? Hex, Pulse, PulseX, and DAI, I believe, are the 4 tokens that support that one. So pretty interesting. Both of those are, like I said, you'll be able to stake them, earn yield. You don't have to long, you don't have to short, if you're not familiar with it, which, many people in the Hex community were taught to buy your coins, stake it, earn yield, be safe. Where this leverage stuff is dangerous. If you don't know what you're doing, please don't mess around with it. Make sure you definitely learn what you're getting yourself into, because your account can get liquidated and go to zero very quickly if you're not careful. If you over leverage and use too much leverage, the window of making the wrong call goes way down, and you better hit it right. Otherwise, you're going to lose everything. So just be very careful with it.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I'm bullish on it too. Glad it exists. Glad that we have all these products out here. I wanted to wrap up on this. I've been pushing this question off for, I think, 3 episodes in a row, just because it's somewhat irrelevant, but I still think it's interesting to talk to because, and I saw somebody point this out the other day, and they're right, that regardless of what we want to think, many of the user base of the token that I'm about to mention, which has been a swear word, Crypto 7 lashed out at me about this quite some time ago over a certain thumbnail long ways back.
Yeah.
But Zen, okay, Jack Levin's Zen token and everything that he's kind of done with that as well. The reason I wanted to bring this up for the last couple of weeks is because it's something that I've been negotiating what to do recently. And again, doesn't matter what anybody feels, there is a lot of crossover between people that have been, longtime hexagons that got involved in Zen and stuff. So, so somebody actually asked on our channel the other day, Ewok, why we don't talk about it anymore. And I simply said exactly what I'm going to say here tonight. And that's that so much has gone on with it that I don't even understand what's going on anymore. And I don't like the model of it. I don't like the direction it's gone, and I don't want to say anything about anybody personally or anything like that, but I just don't get good vibes from some things, is all I'll say. But my main question, and maybe this will benefit some of the people watching, whether live or on the back end, I'm sure that it will, is for those of us who may have minted some or a lot of Zen about a year ago, because I think it was like October the 8th or something, 2022, when the first day that it launched and we were all minting and all that stuff. What to do if you're coming up on claiming these mints where you're in, compared to what you likely paid in gas, you're up probably like a 4x or something like that. I don't even know what the price is right now, but something like that. What to do if you're not interested in that product or that protocol anymore, because I think there's a lot of people, I'm speaking kind of from experience myself, because I'm not interested in it anymore. I don't understand it anymore. You and I had a bigger conversation about this the other day, not about Zen at all, but just about how we were talking about memes versus like long-term holding stuff and everything. And it's like, we're not really ones to say what is right or wrong for somebody to invest in. The market's the market. And however your mind works, you know what it's best for you to invest in. That's why we have people that aren't even in crypto at all, that are more invested in legacy markets and stuff like that. That's why we have super aggressive people in crypto that are in our ecosystem and know what true DeFi is. That's why we have Bitcoin maxis. You know, it runs the gamut. So if you understand whatever the hell is going on with Zen, then more power to you. That's fine. I'm not criticizing anybody that's into it. But my question, because you and I aren't really believers in what's going on in it, I guess like what to do if there are people that have a lot of mints out there that have no clue what's going on, and what they want to do with their mints. Because I'll just say straight up, what I've been doing so far is just selling it immediately for PulseChain. I mean, that's what I've been doing. And it's been a beneficial trade for
Sure.
me. I mean, I don't know that there's really any arguing that. And I know many of the people, including, Travon and a lot of people in Zen, have really just taken profits on the way up, maybe not done the long-term staking mechanism they have, or bought VampX or NFTs, whatever the hell is going on. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that? I'm interested to hear what you think.
Well, yeah, I agree. I mean, it got way complicated when all these different things started to be launched all at the same time. You had NFTs, and these ones were burning this and this was burning that, and I got lost. I didn't follow it that closely to begin with. I did mint a couple just to do it, and I think there may have been one that I pushed way out, whatever, to the max, whatever I could. But yeah, it just got way too confusing, and I lost interest. And it wasn't anything, that was enough to hold me into it. So,
right,
you said you made a 4x, and you rolled it into something else which you're more interested in. Again, I think that if that's what you wanted to do, you made the right call. So I don't. I don't know. I mean, everybody's going to be different if they're paying attention to the whole network. I got a bad taste in my mouth after the whole, argument of what I felt that Jack had done. And, I kind of lost interest pretty quickly. It sounded neat. It sounded like a good idea. And then, it was truly the down forever coin. And not that everything else isn't down too. So, I mean, I don't want to just say that it only went down, because there were some pumps, and I know people did make some money off of it. So
it pretty much only went down. I mean, there's like one pump in there, but I mean, it is a little unfair, because we're comparing a gas fee to mint rather than market buys. Like if you've market bought it and are underwater, then that's on you.
Yeah,
but,
totally.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the way it was designed. Maybe I don't have long enough vision. But when something goes down for years, it really, you're going to lose interest, I think. So yeah, I don't even know. I don't want to give advice. I think turning it into, if you're interested in it, keep it, stake it. I think you can stake it, right?
I think it's like,
once you mint it, I don't know what percentage it's at, even at this point. it was going down by a percentage every so many days or
Like
something.
90 days. I think it's probably down to like 17% or something.
Oh,
And
well,
I think
that's
you can do up to it's like 1,000-day stake, so like almost
yeah.
3 years or something. I don't know.
So that's not too bad. But either way, um, yeah. I mean, if you're interested in it still, stake it for longer, see what happens. If you're not interested in it, switch it for something else. I mean, you're getting still probably a decent value at this point. I don't know if everybody minted for the max length, what will happen. I think you're probably going to see quite a large sell off because I doubt that we're the only ones that have lost interest in it. You know, but again, the ones that are following it, for those that are doing that and knowing which, like I said, all the burning of tokens and doing this, and then there was supposed to be an L1 coming out, and I don't know,
Oh
like
yeah.
I,
Yeah, X1 or whatever. Yeah.
so I don't know. I hate to give advice on it because I stopped following it. I really do. It just got way too confusing. There were too many things that were trying to all combine into one ecosystem way too quickly. I felt like they just started creating stuff and nothing really had a chance to take off. Is kind of where
Yeah, I'm with you.
usually you want to get things going, let them take off, and then kind of build off of that or whatever. I just feel like they threw this and threw that and threw this and threw that and said, "All right, let's see what happens."
Yeah.
Is so, yeah,
It was so much that it just became, and that's why I think there's value. A lot of people credit Richard Hart with the creation of Hex as far as like, hey, it's 3 letters, it's all caps. Well, I guess Zen has that in common, but easy to remember, one product until he just launched an ecosystem with an L1 and a DEX basically, and that's it. So
yeah,
that's really all there is to focus on. The Zen stuff has just gotten so there's just so much going on that I think are all efforts just to make a coin that has gone down in value constantly have value by making up another coin. And it just doesn't,
yeah,
hey, that maybe there is some grand plan there that I don't understand, and I'll look like the idiot in 3 years, whatever. That's totally fine. It's just I think that's a great point, though. The bigger point that you and I did speak of the other day, because we were talking about like the whole meme token thing versus like people trying to catch the next Pepe and stuff like that and putting in these little scratch lottery tickets every now and then versus long term, agonizing hodling that really rewards people. I mean, we can say till we're blue in the face that the long term hodling is the best thing to do. And there's probably more people that have made it from that than a scratch off meme coin. But everybody's mind works differently. I think that's the big thing when you see all these hot takes on Twitter and everything and people arguing and shitting on each other. The market is the market, and some people's mind, believe it or not, doesn't work exactly like yours does. And if they're going to stick to something and that's what they're going to stick to, it might bring them success, maybe longer than it would have taken you by just hodling or whatever, but maybe they're not even capable of hodling. Maybe they're just not that person. So I just think it's something to keep in mind when we're all trying to tell other people what to do. That's all.
yeah. Agree,
So,
agree.
yeah. And I get where you're coming from. New World assets on Zen, that's fine. The appreciating when it becomes deflationary. I know that's the long-term plan and it's like an 8-year thing or whatever.
That's a long time.
It is a long time, and I just don't care.
Speaking
So.
of hodling, that's a long time.
Yes, yeah, that's 2 cycles right there, and I'm not going to
Yeah.
put that many eggs in that basket. So, I'm just not interested. But hey, that doesn't mean people. I see people writing long threads on everything going on with Zen every other day. So that's totally fine if you choose to invest in it. But, I think that pretty much wraps it up. This is a really active chat tonight. Hey, I want to thank everybody, Cody especially. I agree with Ewok. I wouldn't be putting specific numbers of what you hold necessarily out there, but it's good to, as I said earlier, commiserate, share stories, see where we're at with everything. That's why I do love the community in this ecosystem. Denise mentioned it earlier tonight. I've seen like 6 great streams since last night, basically, coming from this ecosystem. So it's good to see where everybody else is coming from and just compare ideas and where we're all at in the head. So did you have anything else you wanted to add tonight, Ewok?
No, I don't think so. I'm good.
Cool. Cool. Well, hey, it's been awesome. Again, we appreciate all you guys. Smash the like on the way out. We do this every single Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am Boi Crypto. That is Crypto Ewok. We will see you guys again next week right here on the Creed of Crypto podcast.